Our theme this year is the Global Heart Vision, and this month is no exception. And today it's about your mind and how to use it. It's a terrible thing to waste. So it's the creative power of thought, and I term this talk your memory and how not to use it. Because the mind is a tool, and we can use it in different directions. We can remember things, remember, or we can go into the future and fantasize about things. And if it's used incorrectly, it can cause us some challenge. It can play havoc on us, if you will. So I want you to imagine that you're driving your car, and you're going to be driving it backwards, looking out the front windshield at where you've been, and you're looking where you're going through your rear view mirror. Okay? So you're going to be driving backwards looking in your rear view mirror. You know, that little tiny mirror, there's a reason that it's really small. Because if you were going to be driving that way, you would want it to be really big, wouldn't you? But what's behind us should be small. Because we don't drive that way. We drive looking through the windshield forward in our lives. Right? Think about it. There's a reason that rearview mirror is so small. But we tend to look at some people's rearview mirror is as big as their windshield. And it clouds their looking forward or looking where they're going immediately because of what's happened in the past. The past should give us clues of what we can or cannot or should or shouldn't do in the now moment, but it shouldn't be dictating how we are in the moment. You know what I'm saying? If we look at and judge our past or our current by our past, we're misusing the law. So this is the way to use the mind. We are affected by the wrong use of the mind all the time. And it's just how we're raised, how we're grown up. In this world of form, we have been taught to prepare ourselves for the worst and to don't dream too big because you don't want to be disappointed. And look what happened in the past. As my mom used to say, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you did that? Well, I really wasn't thinking when I did that, Mom. Oh, well, that's the problem. You weren't thinking. You were just going along with what everybody else was doing, and they weren't thinking either. Oh, okay. So that's the wrong use of mind. Our mind is a tool to dream. Now, there's this thing that's called outlining that we get in challenge with. And it's outlining the way that we think that things should happen. Sometimes it can be called expectation. When we get upset is when we expect something to happen a certain way, and then it doesn't. And then we're upset because it didn't happen the way that we thought it should. Because we had our hopes and our dreams pinned on the way we think it should be. And when it doesn't happen that way, we're depressed, we're upset. And we need to detach from the expectation. I've heard it said that expectation is premeditated disappointment. Because if we expect it to be that way and it's not, we get disappointed. And it's okay to be disappointed. It's just that then, we start our pity party And then, the pity kegger comes out, and then, the pity phone starts ringing, and, the pity, the whole pity party gets, a big boost in being a challenge. But when we get stuck there, it's very easy, I found, for me at times, to get stuck in the pity party. It's so fun. It has been. Until you realize how unfun it is, because it can only go so far. And ignorance is bliss, as long as you're ignorant. If you don't know a different way, you can't have a different experience. But if you don't know, then it's bliss not to know the truth, because you don't know that there's another way. So our memory is to be used to remember where our keys are left, where we parked our car, what time lunch is, and what our favorite food is. That's it. Those are the only good uses of memory. Not to replay the past hurts over and over again. And sometimes we get locked into that mode of playing our past hurts over and over again. And it reminds me of the story of the person that was standing in line for a memory course, and the person behind these two people that were talking overheard them, and they were this one lady was talking about what had happened in her life, and somebody had done this awful thing to her, and she was lining the details and telling her friend about how terrible it was and how awful it was, and her friend said, "Well, why don't you just forget all of that?" She said, "Are you kidding? What she did to me? I'll never forget what she did to me." Here they are standing in line for a memory course, okay? And she's terminally remembering things so vividly. She doesn't need a memory course. She needs a forgettery course. Because she's remembering, you could see her blood, boiling because of her memory of it. Now, this isn't to say that we, just forgive and forget. Now, it's one thing to say, but we need to forgive and remember not to put ourselves in a situation where we can be hurt again. And it's, sometimes our challenges are the work of our own doing. We put ourselves in situations and we have expectations that when they're not met, we get disappointed. And it's okay. It's just that when we get stuck in the disappointment that we have challenges. Our minds are so creative. I talked about outlining, and what outlining is saying, I know that my life should go a certain way, and Aunt Sophie has $1 million, and I need $1 million, so Aunt Sophie should bequest that money to me. So I'm going to get on Aunt Sophie's good side. So she puts me in her will. This is, see how I'm outlining how I think that the $1 million should come to me through Aunt Sophie? And we limit the universe by thinking that it can only happen a certain way. And we need to be open at the top, attached to the journey, not the destination. If you're attached to the journey, you have fun in every moment, no matter what's happening. Because I always used to say, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? See, my mind as a kid, I wanted to be in Palm Springs already. But we were on the way to Palm Springs. My dad's like, we're on the journey. And if something were to happen and we were to have a flat tire or pull over, I'm like, are we there? Nope, we're not there. Why are we stopping? Why do we have to stop before we get there? See, I was so impatient because I wanted to be there already. I wasn't in the now moment. And it carried on into my adult life. I was very unhappy to be in the now moment. There came a time in my life where, for the first time, I was without a relationship. And I had to be with myself. Oh my dear. I didn't know what to do. I I had to get on the phone and try to contact somebody because I was so uncomfortable being alone, being by myself. I didn't know who I was. And then I realized that I kind of didn't like myself. That's why I didn't want to be with myself. And that I had to learn how to like myself. I had to find ways and things about myself that I did like and could be alone with. And alone, if you change the spelling around, it's all one. If you put an E at the end and divide it up, A-L-L-O-N-E, all one. We're all one. There's no separation. And when I got that, I started really appreciating my time as all one or alone. Because I could buy myself flowers. I could take myself to the movies. I could pick whatever I wanted to eat, and nobody said, no, we're not going to eat that. Or fill in the blank of someone else's opinion about your decision. Now, I think that we're on this plane of existence to have interaction with each other, or we'd all be just, we'd all be one, and there would be no individualization. But at the same time, we need to spend time with ourselves to learn who we are, what we love. Two halves do make a whole. My dad used to say that from Gibran, the pillars of the temple stand apart. They're individual, but they stand together to hold up the load. He used to say, he still says, may there be spaces in your togetherness. It's like, what the hell does that mean, Dad? He says, if you don't have experiences alone, you have nothing to share when you're together because you had the same experience. It's good to have separate experiences. Then you can come together and share that as one. Back to my talk. So, our minds are creative, and we get to choose what we create. It creates exactly what you're thinking about. So if you are thinking about what it isn't, the infinite brings you what it's not. Or if you have the desire for something, I want more of this, the universe says, absolutely, yes, here is the want of that. And I didn't get that at first. I was like, well, what do you mean? How do you not want something? How do you not have the feeling that I have a desire for something? Well, you take it to the next step. You pretend. Can anybody pretend? Do you ever play pretend in here? Oh, yeah. We can pretend really well. And some people say, oh, I can't pretend. I don't know how to do that. Have your son or daughter be out at 2 in the morning, and your mind will pretend where they are in many different directions. But if we can use that faculty of our mind to pretend that we are successful and that we are lovable and that we are in the place that we choose to be right now, feel that. How does it feel to have the success, the relationship, the fill in the blank for yourself? How does it feel right now if your dream was realized? That when you walk out that door, your dream is waiting for you right now. The money is already in your account. The relationship is already in the works. Your greatest yet to be is happening for you right now. That subtle energy shift from wanting to having is the key to truth. It is the manifesting power of the mind. This is why when Jesus was asked to do a prayer or perform a miracle, he would start his prayers with, "Thank you, Father. See, his consciousness is already thanking because it's already in his consciousness. He starts at a place of having. This is very high metaphysics here. We treat from our demonstration, not to it. To it always puts it out there somewhere. Happening, going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be. We have to imagine that we are in the situation, in the relationship. How does it feel to be so rich, rich in love, rich in experience, rich in the things you choose to be, do, and have right now? Not out there somewhere, but it's happening right here within you. So what you think about, you bring about. This is the way the law works. This is the right use of the mind. So when we were in Salt Lake City a couple of weeks ago, in our little bags, they give us all this, literature and stuff. This little book was in there. It's a great book. It's The Science of Mind Way by Joan McCall. And there's a couple things about the way to use your mind in here I wanted to share with you. And this is on page 75. And this is talking about prosperity, but it can be used in any place in your life where you may be feeling that there's a lack or the want of. Number 1, all is mind and the action of mind. Everything we are, everything we think, see, and experience is mind in action. Mind is always expressing itself. So, what are you thinking? As my mom would say, what were you thinking? And are you willing to live what you are thinking? And if not, we need to think different thoughts. And if so, we need to continue in that line and not just think about it, but feel it. The language of spirit is feelings. It doesn't use words. It can understand words, but it uses the feeling nature that we create within ourselves to match us with our experience. Number 2 is use denial constructively. Take a look at the way you think generally. You have a trend of thinking, and that trend reveals itself as the condition of your life. Look at your life, and you will see how you've been thinking. Ouch. When I read that in the textbook for the first time 20 years ago, I threw the textbook across the room. I'm like, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know the trouble I've seen. You don't know what I've been through. How can you judge me like that? You don't even know me, book. And then I realized, oh, well, that's probably true. And if I take responsibility for what's happened to me, I can take responsibility for my triumphs. And I can turn the challenges into triumphs if I think differently. But I didn't know how to do that until now. 3, speak to yourself in a constructive way. Ouch again. For me, I used to tear myself up. I'd spill milk and I'd be so upset with myself. Boy, if I broke something, it'd be like, oh, you stupid, fill in the blank. And then I started getting into this teaching, and we're all one, and everything is God, and I'm cussing at myself, so I'm cussing at God. And I had to start being nice to myself. I wasn't very nice to myself. I was very critical, very negative. And I had to change that thinking. So in the moment when I would go, you are so creative. You are so creative. Nobody could be as creative in messing that up as you are. You messed that up so brilliantly. Let's take a step back and look at the mess you made, because that is a splatter on the kitchen floor I've never seen before. And start to enjoy my mess ups and to actually revel in that I was human and I'm okay And this is what happens when you have a physical body and you drop the mayonnaise, it breaks. And look at it, it's in the cupboards even. How did it get in there? Only God, you know? So your thoughts create your life. Begin to cultivate a fresh outlook on life. Start looking for the beautiful, the good, and the whole, the free, and things that promote life and love and joy. You know, we get what we find, or we get what we think about. We get what we are. So we need to change what we are. We need to change our beliefs. And what is a belief? Belief is a thought that we have been thinking over and over and over again until we believe that it's true. And this isn't bad. It's just that if we are believing too much of what ain't so, that's not the way it actually is, and we live our lives that way, we can be going down a path of challenge and not even know it. But when we start to wake up and use these principles in a constructive way, the truth starts to be revealed to us. And if you've been in this teaching at all, if you're in this room, you know that that's true, or you wouldn't be here. So in conclusion, your mind and how you use it directs where you're going. So we need to look back at where we've been, not to be upset with it, but to learn from it, to decide maybe we don't want to be there again. That's the right use of mind. And look where we choose to be. Look where we're going. And feel it right now, in this moment. How does it feel to be successful? To be where you choose to be, fill in the blank. Right now. It's not out there in the future. It's happening right now for us, but we have to believe it. So, my charge to you is to stop when you have a negative come up. Just stop for a second and go, do I want to live that thought? And if not, run it through your positive filter and go, what does this look like if it was completely worked out? Whatever the situation is. And this isn't to minimize any situation you may be walking through. It's not about minimizing. It's about seeing it rightly. When we see it rightly, it comes into the context of being for us. All of our challenges bring us to a greater yet to be if we see it rightly. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. And now we will have our song, and so it is. it's time for our healing prayer. So if you'd like to just fall silent and let's go within. Remember who we are. So knowing that there is a power, there is a source, a force that creates everything that is, and that animating power is animating our lives right now. It guides the stars and causes the sun to shine. It is the wind, the waves. It's beating our heart, digesting our food and breathing our bodies, doing all these things at the same time. As we align ourselves with that power and we turn ourselves over to that energy, the miracle is unleashed within each one of us. I speak a word of prayer for anyone, anywhere who has asked for a healing, a blessing, knowing that right here and right now, the switch of divine knowing has been thrown, and all the circuits are flowing perfectly. Knowing that everything is happening in divine time, because our use of mind is in the correct direction. In imagining all the beauty our lives are. Because there are truckloads of good happening for each one of us, right here and right now, revealing itself in each moment, moment by moment, miracle by miracle. So we just accept the energy of love. We accept the energy of truth. We accept whatever changes need to be made in a loving and gentle way that allow us to emerge into our greatest yet to be right here and right now. So I say thank you. Thank you, divine loving presence. Thank you, divine power of the universe, for allowing us this time, this space, and this place to remember who we are and use this energy in a constructive way that catapults us into our greatest yet to be right now. I accept these blessings and these wonderful gifts of spirit for each one of us, knowing that in our thanksgiving, in our awareness that something is happening, something happens. So it is easy to let go, to releasing anything that may have blocked our inner flow previously, and releasing this word into that law that does it perfectly, constantly, and right now. Letting it go because I truly believe it is already so. Together we say, and so it is. Okay. Well, thank you. It's time for our offertory now. If the ushers would come forward, we will have our offering and we will sing, I Am So Blessed. Okay. Bob? I am so blessed. Thank you. from the love of pure spiritual energy that creates all manifestation. These tithes, these gifts, have been collected with love and given in love. And they are used in love in this community in a way that expresses the science of mind, that allow this center to thrive, to be here, to be that place of safety, of love, and of spiritual knowledge. We are so grateful, so grateful. We release this knowing it is already so. Together we say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Okay. Well, we have some more spiritual music this morning, so I'll introduce White Feather where he can give us his second song. Let's hear for White Feather.